So we have some more news in kind of the NIL space in general around college football. Title IX is involved. I give you Title IX, I give you Baylor. It's not usually a great mix, right? We're kind of done with those stories. But there is going to be a big factor here with Title IX and everyone in college football. Now, the story broke over the weekend. And basically what it is this new NIL guidelines that's coming from Title IX, not necessarily even the NCAA. I'm going off the Ross Dellinger story from Yahoo Sports because Ross is just great on all of this. But basically, I'll just read it from here. The department issued long-awaited guidance related to Title IX. Revenue sharing payments from schools to athletes must be proportionately distributed to men and women athletes, or institutions risk violating Title IX, the 53-year-old federal law requiring universities receiving federal funding to provide equal benefits to men and women's athletes. So basically, what this is going to mean is, exactly what it sounds like. Whatever you are distributing to men's sports, you're going to have to distribute to women's sports and women's athletes as well. On the surface, good for progress, right? Good for humanity progress. But in actuality, in practicality, the way that college sports run, this is a bomb here. Like this is a huge deal. While we're just trying to figure out what schools can pay athletes what and how they can divvy up money and where NIL actually fits into that. And it's all a mess still a couple years into this thing. And now, if you're a big-time university, mostly big-time state schools, if you want to allocate $15 million to football, you're now going to have to do that with women's sports. And again, it's not just football. If you allocate $15 million to football, it's probably what, 22, 23 million to all men's sports. And then you got to put that number into women's sports as well. It's a very tough thing to do. And it's very un-NCAA because the NCAA is not equal. It's not. It's not a fair world. It's not equal. And we bitch about it all the time. But when it comes to brass tacks, this is why the U.S. soccer thing took so long for equal pay. Because the college football playoff that's going on right now, like that's the second biggest sports moneymaker in America. Okay? It's college football and 3 weeks of college basketball in March. That's where the NCAA makes its money. As good as women's basketball has gotten, it doesn't make its money off that. And to be fair, too, it doesn't make its money off baseball. Doesn't make its money off, those teams with schools with men's volleyball, men's soccer. They don't make money off that. They barely make money off men's basketball. A lot of programs don't. They don't operate in the black on that. So it's really tough to just say, oh, well, football brings in, for a school like Baylor, brings in $40 million in revenue every year, but you best make sure that goes to the softball players too. It's a tough thing to do. And by the way, Linda Livingstone is quoted in this story because she's ahead of the board of governors here. Like this is a big deal. Like she's absolutely a big part of this. And from what it sounds like from the quote, it almost seems like she was kind of caught off guard. The NCAA does not traditionally give guidance to schools related to Title IX, leaving those decisions to campus officials like Linda Livingstone, the Baylor president and the chair of the board of governors. Quote, we're going to have to all get back to campus and have a conversation about it and see what we think the implications are for what we're doing, she said Thursday. So not much there in the quote, but Linda Livingstone at Baylor will have a big part in this. And I think Baylor comes from a really interesting perspective, right? Not just the Title IX stuff and the low-hanging fruit that you can take from it, but the fact that they are a private school that's relatively small compared to, a lot of its other member schools in the Big 12 and the Power 4 conferences, and one that has really elevated their profile in the last 15 years through athletics, almost all of it through athletics. Baylor became a better school because of their success in athletics, and Linda Livingstone gets that. She's been on the forefront of that. And they're also a school that does not receive federal funding, being a private school. But then again, I don't think that's going to matter here. And this is where I don't like it from another layer of why I don't like it is Baylor should not be told what they can and can't do with their money. If you're a state school and you're receiving that kind of funding, then you're entitled to that. That's why we know exactly how much coaches are getting paid at public schools. That's why they have to be very transparent on where your money is going. If you're going to give your money to a private school like Baylor or TCU or Duke or Stanford or Vanderbilt, you're giving your money to them. They don't have to tell you. They don't owe you that. And if a school like Baylor or TCU probably rightly says, hey, we're going to allocate a lot of money into football because we've shown we can be competitive in it. And that revenue keeps us alive, keeps us at the table. Because it's true. That's what it does. And so, yeah, on paper, it looks great. Like we want our female athletes to get paid. We don't want them to be like kind of living in the past of other athletes before NIL. But with this, it's going to now become a collective battle again, which does not favor private schools or schools like Baylor. Ohio State and Tennessee and Florida, they are going to kick our collectives' ass, okay? They're going to do it to every private school. So that is where we get back to the original days of NIL, which is probably not kind to a school like Baylor. They're always going to be at a disadvantage, but that is especially unkind to a school like Baylor. So, I get it. Again, on paper, it looks great. We want these athletes to get paid good money, but if we're breaking it down further, it's not a male versus female argument or issue with NIL, because there's only a couple of guys that are on the football team making real money. And trust me, like no one on the baseball team is making real money almost anywhere. So it's not proportionate within their own sports, let alone male to female, right? Like it's just, there's so much nuance here, and it could be just a couple of days, because this is Board of Education stuff, and there's a new president going into office today as you're watching this, and there's probably going to be a new director of the Board of Education if that even survives. So it could be like we could have, Tony Batiti of the Big Ten and Greg Sankey of the Big 12, or excuse me, the SEC, could be on the phone with Donald Trump as we speak to make sure this is going to kind of be ironed out. And we'll see where it comes in the next couple of days. But this could be another landmark case or guideline, if you will, in the world of NIL, and it might not benefit Baylor. But we'll learn more in the coming days. We're going to keep track of this because these NIL situations, I learn more as I go along. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. How it's going to help or hurt Baylor or whatever school you're looking at. Let me know down in the comments. And am I reading this wrong? Please let me know. Be sure to like and subscribe. If you like the video, It helps us out a lot. We're marching towards 4,000 subscribers. We're getting closer every day, and we need your help because you guys have helped grow this channel so much. So let me know down in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for making it to the end of the video, and thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network part of your daily routine. We have got you covered with the most Baylor Bears athletics coverage of any outlet that's not directly tied into Baylor University. So if you want more of that, be sure to like and subscribe. Ring that notification bell to get notified every time we're dropping a video here on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks, and sick 'em.